Hi. I haven't been on here in quite a while, and I wanted to explain why. I had to type everything so that I remember because part of this is, so it's due to my TBI that I had 6 years ago. Um, and basically, it's trauma related, but I also I was diagnosed with POTS, um, and also mast cell activation syndrome and hypermobility. I did not know I was hypermobile until about a month ago. And it explains so much. But basically, I just wanted to say, like, I had to type this out because I wanted to remember, but everything that I wanted to say. And I actually forgot to mention a couple things in this. So, okay, I'm gonna take these out. All right, so I kind of had to put a pause on working because I was having a lot of symptoms and I was kind of getting the runaround for the last 6 years. It was like, well, you're a mom, you do a lot, you're just fatigued, and you have anxiety, and it was just like, or like you need to lose weight, and but I knew my body wasn't right. I knew my mind wasn't right, and it was scary. um, and so I finally have answers. So, um, okay, basically, how do I want to start this? Okay, so POTS, MCAS, hypermobility, and my TBI. Um, all right, so it's a complex interplay of postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, mast cell activation syndrome, hypermobility, and then the history of my TBI. So these conditions don't cause like one or two issues, but they affect pretty much every system of my body. And so I was just gonna kind of break this down. So the autonomic dysfunction for POTS and TBI. So my autonomic nervous system, which controls things like blood pressure, heart rate, digestion, temperature regulation, it doesn't function properly. So it leads to lightheadedness, vertigo, disorientation, basically due to poor blood flow to the brain when I'm upright. So actually the poor blood flow is from a couple of things. Hypermobility can be one because of the way that the vessels and connective tissue is. But I'd also, whenever you have um, the the virus that we all went through, whether you got it naturally or got the shot, basically that spike protein can cause microclotting, and sometimes it can collect in the vessels um, in the neck. And so that's why a lot of people, after they've had that virus, they have like long COVID, and it's because um, the blood flow is restricted and it causes a lot of symptoms of POTS. Um, Mine was a mixture of that and my car accident, my TBI. And some of it could have even been from before, and those were just like the cherries on top that like pushed it over the edge. Um, but basically, the lightheadedness, vertigo, and disorientation is due to poor blood flow to the brain. When I'm upright, my blood just doesn't push up to my head. Low blood pressure and high heart rate. So with POTS, it causes my heart to race to compensate for the blood pooling in my legs, which leads to a lot of leg pain, like up the backs of my legs, and I started to get varicose veins from it. Um, so I have temperature intolerance, so I often feel too hot or too cold because my body just can't regulate my temperature properly, and I can't sweat. I've had a problem sweating since my accident, and I don't know, even if I was working out really hard, I just couldn't sweat, and that's part of POTS. It's just your body just doesn't do what it's supposed to do, and so whenever you get overheated, normally you sweat to cool down, and I just feel like I'm a kettle that's going to explode from being hot. So I have to cool myself down other ways. Um, let's see, blah blah blah. Dizziness and fatigue after meals or being outside, so my blood diverts to digestion or my muscles, and so whenever that happens, like after a meal, I have to take like a little bit of a walk where I'm pumping my calves. Otherwise, the blood will pull to my digestive system and away from my head, and I get lightheaded. But then at the same time, if I am outside in certain temperatures, and I'm moving, it moves to my muscles. So I have to like flex my calves or squeeze my thighs, something to push the blood back up to my head. And then if that doesn't work, I have to lay down and put my legs up above my heart to get it going. Dizziness and fatigue after meals or being outside. I just said that. My brain. Exercise intolerance. So even light movements can overwork my nervous system and I can get flare ups from that. So during my treatments and any type of exercise, I have to be really careful and be really slow about it. Even walking can lead to issues. I had an issue today just from walking because I didn't eat enough and it was chilly out and my blood didn't stay up in my brain and my blood sugar dropped and it was just uncomfortable. Um, so I really have to be meticulous on what I do every day. Otherwise, I don't feel well. Trouble swallowing. So it was to the point where like I couldn't swallow capsules. Even rice was getting stuck in my throat, and I felt like I had swelling in my throat or like a lump that I couldn't like swallow past, and that's actually due to the vagus nerve from my TBI and POTS. And so now before I eat or take any capsules, I have to hum or sing to like get my vagus nerve stimulated, and then I can swallow fine. And so that's why I sing a lot on my page because it's like, you know, um, it really does help me a lot. So, uh, yeah, so like gargling, singing, humming, um, it really helps. It really helps with that. Um, that's actually why monks, whenever they go, that's like the perfect tone to stimulate the vagus nerve to slow everything down. It's kind of cool. I get ocular migraines, eye floaters, my eyes shake, and I get visual disturbances. Basically, it's poor circulation and neurological instability, which affect my vision. Inability to sweat, which I did talk about, but it's the autonomic dysregulation, which limits my ability to cool itself down. So it feels terrible. I have to basically, I get sunburned really easily because my body's not responding properly to the sunshine. So I have to go out like at certain times of day. I just have to be careful. Immune and histamine overload, which is the mast cell activation syndrome. And again, this is something that is from like layers of trauma and stress on the body. Um, you're just like, your body's just like, I'm overwhelmed. But my mast cells overreact and release histamine and other chemicals when they shouldn't, especially when they shouldn't. Like it could be I don't know. I just react to stupid stuff. But this causes flares and strange, unpredictable reactions. So I'll get skin rashes, red hot, patchy skin. I'll get pressure hives, lacy skin. The lacy skin's like red and purple, and it's from histamine release and the blood vessels changing diameter. And a lot of times that alone, like whenever the vessels change in diameter, it constricts and then like the blood has a hard time getting to the head again. Facial chest redness, so like I'm always red here, I flare here a lot, my cheeks get really red, and I mean they're red now because I had a kind of a rough day, but like my skin feels hot. Like whenever you touch my skin, it feels like a sunburn. um and it's inflammation and histamine effects on the skin and tissue. And I actually eat a low histamine diet. I had to change a lot of things. I was eating really healthy, but vegetables were bothering me. So now I had to switch my diet up again, and I eat very, very few things. I switch them around. And I'm going to like slowly introduce some stuff back in, but I eat a very clean whole foods diet. I basically avoid high histamine foods. I avoid foods that have anti-nutrients like oxalates and things like that. I don't do sugar. It's basically like everything's grass-fed, organic, and then my vegetables are are pretty limited because I'm not doing carbs either. I'll do rice occasionally, but it has to be like the next day after it's been in the fridge or freezer, and then I add tallow, grass-fed butter, or organic coconut oil to it so that it buffers and I don't get like a spike in my blood sugar. But all of those things are to help the histamine overload that my body has been dealing with. Um, so food sensitivities, I haven't been able to eat eggs in about a year. I started reacting badly to them. Bloating, nausea after hot food. Whenever I eat hot food, I feel so sick to my stomach. I feel dizzy. I feel disoriented and so tired because I can't handle hot foods anymore. It has to be like, they can be warm, but I have to just take my time. Um, my gut is full of mast cells that react to temperature, spices, and certain ingredients, similar to like people that have autoimmune disorders like lupus. You know, you can't have nightshades, spicy foods. It bothers you. Um, let's see, the fatigue after eating, mucus and throat from certain foods. It's part of the mast cell or vagal response to food. Unnecessary anxiety. So I was diagnosed with, well, I wasn't diagnosed, but I was told many times that like I had anxiety and hypochondria. However, um, it's part of the histamine. It acts as a neurotransmitter and can mimic panic or sensory overload. But then also with POTS, your heart rate jumps. So like they realized it wasn't anxiety. There were a few times where I needed the ER. Well, I went there for fluids basically, because that helps with POTS. But my heart rate in the middle of the night, out of like, I was sleeping and I woke up and my heart rate was just 180 out of nowhere, and I could not slow it down, and I was getting really lightheaded. I felt like I was going to pass out, and I was home alone with the kids, and so I did call just to get checked out because I don't check my blood sugar or anything, but it felt so disorienting and scary. And they're like, yeah, we have people come in all the time with this high heart rate, and we just give them fluids and then they're fine. And they didn't mention anything about POTS, but like that was a pretty good indicator that I should like look into it, because the things that help POTS, which is like compression, salt, hydration, elevating your feet, all of those things were helping me, and I'm like, I'm gonna look into this further. Um, Overstimulation, sensory overwhelm, that's really hard. So like at night, if the TV's on and it's like flashing, or if there's like, I'm just more sensitive to sound after my accident, and to light. Like it feels really jarring. I got hit from like the side and behind, and it was loud. And so I don't know if it's just like triggering in general, like if I'm laying down and the TV's behind me and then like there's something loud or bright and it's just triggering. But it's really hard, and it's unsettling, and so that's something that I've also been working on. Oh, I'm in functional neurology now, so like I have a functional neurologist that's helping me through all of this, and he's been incredible and really really helpful because every issue I'm having, he's telling me why it's happening and how we're gonna fix it, and he's given me so much hope. And so I have five more weeks of the program that I'm doing, and he said I'm going to notice a huge difference. So let's see, I get like lumps under my skin sometimes, especially on my legs and on my sides, and it's just like it's a lump, and they get inflamed and red. They almost look like cysts under the skin, but there's nothing on the skin surface. It's not like poppable. It's like fatty tissues, and they accumulate and then they go down, they go away. It's really weird. I do use like castor oil on them, and I just elevate a lot, and then they do go away. But it's either lymphatic or histamine driven swelling, and I feel like it's mostly histamine driven because it feels different than like when a lymph node is inflamed. Fatigue, joint pain, and flaring after stress. So the stress can trigger histamine release and inflammation. So I've had a lot of inflammation in my body. Circulatory and lymph issues. So this is linked to POTS, MCAS, and hypermobility, but with connective tissue that's looser than it should be, and circulatory issues from POTS and mast cell activation. I experience sluggish lymphatic flow, fatty deposits, swelling. My lymph system struggles to keep up, leading to buildup under the skin. at times. And so like I'll notice like that this lymph node tends to be more prominent. I get varicose veins and aching in my legs, and my arms and legs get fatigued um, from it's kind of like the opposite of blood pooling. So like if I'm exercising or if I have my arms up, I get numb, and then my arm gets numb. I wake up with like tingling arms all the time, and it's just because the blood flow is not flowing the way it's supposed to. Um, so the blood pools in my lower body instead of returning efficiently. Redness and patchy or molted skin. So my circulation can be erratic, especially during flares or if there's cold exposure. So if I go out to take a walk, and you know how like your body will like warm up as you're walking, mine just gets really cold, and then my head gets really hot, and then I'm sick. So it's stupid. Neurological sensitivity, so TBI, POTS, and MCAS related. My nervous system is on high alert and doesn't filter stimuli well at all. So it'll lead to auditory and light sensitivity, overstimulation. Too much input can just overwhelm my brain and trigger flares. I get like my head feels warm and like it's buzzing, and I feel like I'm gonna fall over. And it happens in grocery stores. It could be from the way my eyes are. So my brainstem was injured during my accident, and then my cerebellum, my right cerebellum isn't talking to my left frontal lobe. And so my eyes are all wonky. So if I'm walking down the grocery store aisle and I'm looking to the left, I get really disoriented to the point where like it feels like panic, but like my body's just like not it's not regulating, and I just feel really really unwell. So and it could also be from like the lighting in stores. I don't do well with certain lighting. It makes me feel like just really overstimulated and not good. I will smell smells that aren't there, and I will see things that aren't there. And then I also get visual auras. So my the sensory misfires happen with like migraines, but it's also associated with like the residual of the TBI that I'd had, and my nervous system just being totally overwhelmed. Um, let's see, confusion, difficulty concentrating, and just feeling off. So I've had brain fog for 6 years, and when I started going to my doctor, well, I did the chiropractic care, and the first day he did the adjustment after knowing my history. It was the first day I didn't have brain fog in 6 years, and I was just like, I felt so sick for so long, and it was lonely because you look fine, but you're not, and you know you're not, but everybody's expecting you to be fine, and you just want your old brain back, you just want your body back. So that day he gave me a lot of hope, because there have been times I just didn't want to be in this body anymore. Sorry. I just always want to be there for people, and to get to the point where I can't be there for others or myself, it's just been really hard. And you just know something's wrong, and everyone's writing you off. And you know, in the last like five months, I mean, I haven't been able to exercise in quite a while, but over the last 4 to 5 months, just changing the way I breathe and removing certain vegetables I lost 20 pounds because of the inflammation and the stuck lymph. And you can see I'm like getting red because my body just reacts to stupid stuff. um, when I had my accident, I lost my short-term memory, and it was really hard to concentrate, and I would get confused, and sometimes that comes back, and it's just like you just feel, I don't know, you just don't feel like you, but you look like you for the most part. And people expect you to be you, and so you just feel like you're always like trying to live up to these expectations, but you just physically can't. Getting back to this, when I get flares, I get really tired, so if I have an episode, I need to just lay down and I fall asleep, and so my body just basically crashes, because it's working overtime to stabilize itself all the time. Um, like, if I hug somebody and they have facial hair, I get hives wherever like that was, or if they have like pinchy hair, I get hives. It's just frustrating. But there is hope. I go to my appointments twice a week, and they do some interesting things with electrical, like pulsing. So like they're kind of zapping you while moving your body and having you do like brain exercises, and basically just getting your sympathetic, parasympathetic, and autonomic nervous system to work properly, because mine are just all kind of funny right now. But basically, the POTS affects my heart and blood flow. My MCAS affects my immune and allergic responses. And then both are worsened by the hypermobility and my past brain injury. So basically, like whenever it's dizziness or bloating, it's basically the nervous system misfiring. My immune system is overreacting, and my circulatory system is struggling. And so it's been a lot. Let me see if there was, I know this is a long video, but I wanted to explain where I've been and why it's been really hard to work the way I was, because I always like would pride myself on being like a speed cleaner, and being really supportive for the people I was helping. And it got to the point where like I was so unwell that I couldn't function. I would take my kids to activities and just pass out in the car. I was just like a zombie, and it just was getting really bad. Basically that car accident just really jostled me, and didn't I didn't I didn't know what to do. I thought I did all the right things. I went to physical therapy. I got chiropractic care for my back. I went to the ER. Like I had I got a CAT scan. To be honest, I don't remember exactly, because I lost my memory that most of that year. Lost friends that year. I don't remember why. And I don't remember, but I do believe I had a CAT scan. I don't think it was an MRI, but they were checking to make sure I didn't have like bleeding on the brain. I was very lucky and blessed, to be honest, but I'm having trouble still, and so I'm getting better. It's just slow, and I have to take it slow. But my doctor is really hopeful that things are going to level out for me. I'm gonna see. I want to see if I have findings report. I know this is a long video. um, Cortex is conscious awareness, making, decision making, planning, organizing, speech, movement, sensory processing. And then the cerebellum, brainstem, and hindbrain is all unconscious awareness. Let me see. Oh, they could tell that my left side was having an issue. Like, my right side is overstimulated while my left side is fatigued. And they could tell because my left eyelid droops. My right pupil is larger than the left, like under stress mostly. And then my doctor, during the testing, he had held up a red scarf, and he said, "What color is this?" And I said, "Red." And he said, "Okay, great. Cover your left eye." So I did. And he said, "Is it brighter or darker?" And I was like, "Oh, it's bright red." And he said, "Okay, great. Cover your other eye." So I did that. And I was like, the whole thing turned black. He's like, "Okay, that's desaturation on the left." So it just shows that it's fatigued. Whenever I would do like the eye tests, my left eye fails, and then my right eye spasms and then fails. My right midbrain is compensating, which is why it's hyperactive. Let's see. Since the vasculature of the area is really small, in the brainstem and in the neck, like I was saying, like microclotting, and because of being hit, my brain got jostled. There's just gonna be some issues there, with the autonomic nervous system. I was just trying to see my tongue, like whenever I would stick it out, it would deviate to the right. And so that was indicative of a weaker right brain stem. Let's see. I know this is long and you have to watch this whole thing, but I feel like it's just been a long time since I've talked to anybody on here, and I wanted to give you an idea of why. And I know I've already said that, but I think that's pretty much like, I have like spatial awareness issues. My balance feels off. Basically, the vestibular system and the cerebellum talk to each other to help you know where you are in space, and my body isn't understanding spatial awareness. And so it's like, do you ever see somebody like walk up steps or walk down steps, and like they step on one more, but there isn't one? It's like a lot of that. But then whenever that happens, that also makes it so that the brain isn't able to push blood to where it needs to go, and it just creates like a disconnect in visualization. So it just makes visual organizing harder for me, which has been the biggest struggle, because typically I can go into a room and in my mind I can empty it out completely, rearrange all of the furniture, and then place it back the way that I want it. And that was always like one of my superpowers. It's been a struggle, but I'm going to end this video for now, and I just appreciate you for sticking around. It's been something. I have my moments, and during my treatment I'll have moments where like I just cry. But my head injury was very close to like the part of the brain that controls emotions. And so after my car accident I would just cry out of nowhere too. So I didn't mean to get emotional, but it's just, I don't know. All this to say, I appreciate you. Please stick around, because I'm doing everything I can to get better. And I want nothing more than to be present with the people I care about, and with new friends and old friends, and I just want my life, I'll never get the old life back, but that's part of this process, is growing from it and learning and being there for other people, because I've been there. I have a lot of, I had a lot of clients with autoimmune disorders, and issues, and I could understand to a certain extent. Um, but once I go through this, you know, it'll be like a whole new playing field of being there to help people. So, all right, I just wanted to say hi. This is what's been going on. I appreciate you, and sorry I cried, but um, I cry when people lose weight on The Biggest Loser too, so I just cry. I'm sure there's stuff I forgot about. It's okay, but yeah, take care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.